Hello everyone, Golf Coach Marv here. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with Doc Dave for ClubCraft today, and we're going to be talking about the new model for the P790 2021 for TaylorMade.
Correct.
A very hot selling iron. It's been popular throughout our fittings.
I would say it's probably one of our most popular irons through the years.
Absolutely. It's more in that kind of mid category of a golf club, so it's not too bulky, it's not too forgiving, but it's not too small for like the low handicap player, but it's very popular amongst a large variety of
Yeah, I would say it's more of a player's distance iron, if you will. You know, look and feel of a forged golf club with a little bit more forgiveness involved in that design of the club itself, which we're going to be happy to look at today.
And this model now is probably generation 3, right? Because they came out with it in 2017, I believe.
17 and then 19 and now 21. So looking at a 2-year cycle.
Exactly. And sometimes it's difficult to improve on something that's already such a great golf club.
I can't wait to see if they can improve on last year's model, because last year, I got to tell you, it was one of the hottest irons on the market for various reasons, which we'll get into.
Yeah. So I mean, today we're going to kind of compare last year's model or the previous model, which is 2019, compared to the new one. And again, very small differences on the outside, but I think inside is where the big improvements.
All the bells and whistles, the guts are on the inside, which they made some pretty cool changes, which we're going to chat about here in a couple minutes.
So I mean, if we kind of showcase the irons a little bit. So we got, you're holding the version of 2019, and again, they have kind of like that shinier kind of look to it, which is I think it was the same as the 2017 version. The look of it outside didn't really change that much, but as we'll see with the new head, the color has changed a little bit to more of a matte dark gray, right? Which again, from an optical point of view, it might make the head look a little bit smaller.
It may.
I'm not sure if it is or not. I mean, it does, from certain angles, it does seem a little bit smaller, but they're showing kind of the back of it. A little bit cleaner look in the back. Again, both of these heads are hollow face designs, right? Hollow head designs.
Hollow cavity, I think they call it, yeah.
Yep, so back in the day, obviously you had clubs with a huge cavity hole in the back of it. Same concept, it's just a little bit covered. So for a cleaner look.
Right, and aesthetically, as you bring up a good point, that satin finish, as I call it, I know there's a different name for it, I just think it looks clean, especially with us here in South Florida and very sunny, very bright out. So it just, in my opinion, it frames the ball very nicely, which again, I think is a great add-on for the new product.
Exactly, and we've seen that with wedges as well, where they kind of go into black or other colors, which helps in the bunker, because sometimes it can get kind of bright on a bunker. So if you're in a fairway bunker, kind of the matte look would be pretty good, especially here in Florida, where it can get kind of bright in the bunker sometimes. In terms of inside technology, right, so they have something called the Speed Foam Air, which is a little bit different than the previous model. And from what they're saying is that it's 69% lighter, and what that accomplishes is probably a little bit lighter head, faster ball speed.
Yeah, 3.5 grams I think is what I read. So you might not think 3.5 grams would be a lot, but that's just one of the areas they've removed weight. So if they make a lighter speed foam, again, that's going to help absorb some of the vibration, the sound, acoustics is going to be really different in this head, I think, than the previous model. When you can save 3.5 grams of weight and you can move it more to the perimeter of the golf club, or they can move that weight, discretionary weight, in a position that'll help a player launch it higher or create better ball speeds, that's the name of the game for not only TaylorMade, for all the companies that we deal with the R&D team for them.
Yeah, as well as the face, right? They're saying the face is thinner as well than the previous model.
Is that where you said 69% greater sweet spot? Did I read that, or was that?
It's a bigger sweet spot, but the thickness of the face is actually a little bit lighter.
So more of a trampoline effect is what they're getting at.
And already, I mean, the P790 is known for having that high ball speed where the ball will just jump out of you. Again, for the pro level golfer, sometimes it's not such a good thing, because a pro will always
tend to
need distance,
right? With their club head speed, they already launch it high enough and they hit it far enough. So.
Exactly, but for the mid handicap, the player that this club is designed for, that's what you want, because if you slightly miss it, you're still going to get that extra ball speed. That's going to be very beneficial when you do miss it, and so you don't lose too much distance.
Sure. Tungsten. Let's talk about the tungsten.
That's the other thing as well, right? So tungsten, 31 grams. They managed to move it up a little bit.
Quite a bit. 13.5 grams in the last model.
Yeah, so a little bit towards the toe now, which stabilizes the head a little bit more.
Correct.
Especially on the long irons. If you have a hard time getting those long irons up in the air, that really benefits you in terms of launch.
Correct.
So we'll be able to launch it as high. Loft. A lot of companies have de-lofted their clubs. However, these clubs, I mean, pitching wedges, what, 45 degrees?
45.
8 irons, 35.
7 iron was 30 and a half.
Yep.
Which remains the same as last.
Same as well,
Yep.
and then the 6 iron is 26 and a half.
Correct.
So again, going back to the better player, right? For the better player, that might be, you're looking at about 30, 35 yards in between your 8 and your 6, which is probably a little bit too much.
Right.
However, for the higher handicapper, you don't care. I mean, you're hitting that 6 iron further.
Sure.
And if you can still launch it up in the air, which is kind of what they're going for by moving weight around the head, then it's a win-win.
And that's exactly what I've been told as well. Is they also have the speed slot, which is the bottom on the sole of the club, and that just helps helps with the trampoline effect, and it helps with the acoustics as well. The face flexes a little bit more, if you will, in terms of the R&D and the head itself. So just a couple times that I've hit it in testing here, it does feel a little bit softer to me. Now granted, this is just a forged face. It's not a whole forged golf club. So just the face is forged on this particular golf club, which again, we just got our demos in not too long ago, so the couple times that I've hit it, it does feel very soft, very similar to a nice player's fully forged iron.
Yeah. And again, when it comes to looks, I mean, looks are a little bit cleaner. I mean, you kind of look at the top end of each one of these. Again, last model there, new model here. Pretty similar in the thickness on the top line, but again, I think the look of it, the matte look of it, might make it a little bit more appealing for the better player. So we'll just have to kind of hit a few of them and see what numbers it gives us. Interesting to see how it changes, because if they are, and every year they'll always promise more ball speeds, but it's always fun to test it out. See if we actually do see more ball speed.
Absolutely.
Especially being the same loft. So if they're the same loft and this one for some reason gives us more ball speed, then a lot of stuff that they're promoting in terms of reweighting the tungsten around the head would prove to be beneficial.
What I'm curious to see is ball speed versus height, right? The one thing that I've read about this new product is with that 31 grams of tungsten in the toe and a little bit more forgiving face, I have heard that it is designed to launch a little bit higher than the previous model, which for most of us players, average players, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly, and it'll improve your landing angle. And again, without kind of getting too technical, landing angle is basically the angle at which the ball comes down onto the green. So irons, you want that ball to hold.
Sure.
A lot of times you get people less loft, they'll hit the green, but that thing keeps on going.
Yeah, so just to let you at home know, when we're doing fittings, we're looking at a land angle north of 42. Upwards to 49 degrees, probably land angle for the
so 42 would be flatter, 49 would be a little bit more vertical.
What we don't want to see is a land angle that's coming in so flat that we're in the 30s or south of 40 degrees, because then if you have a front pin, if you have 150 pin but 146 carry front number, you don't really have enough room for that ball to stop. Exactly. So higher and softer is basically the theme in land angle, which what we might discuss here later.
Yeah. So again, let's go out and hit them.
All right.
Actually, let's go in here and
let's have at it.
See how that works. So here we have both P790s. On my right hand, I have the 2019 version, and on my left, I have the 2021 version. So I'm gonna hit a couple, more than a couple, with the current version of it, and then we'll test them out, see which one works better than the other. See what the differences are.
Absolutely.
Okay. So again, P790, really good forgiving golf club. The design of it I love, because even though it's forgiving, the look of it was very sleek and very pleasing to look at. So let's see.
Good swing, Marvin. So just at home, what we're looking at here, we just put a couple numbers up on the screen for TrackMan. We're looking at the club head speed, which isn't really relevant in this fitting. However, with some weight, I'm sorry, not fitting, but talking about these numbers, with some weight distribution changes, could change club head speed.
Good.
We are using both the same length golf club, very similar shafts in both of the 2021 versus the 2019. Ball speed is going to be a big player with all of our fittings, and especially today we're going to talk a little bit about ball speed. Launch angle, pertinent again with positioning weight on the new golf club. Carry, that's a nice carry, buddy. You've been working out in the gym.
Working out a little bit. Yeah.
Spin rate, as you guys at home can notice, has a little bit of a draw, so it's going to spin a little bit less. Previously, we talked about land angle and height. So on this version on the right over here, it's measured kind of in yards, 10, 20, and 30 up there, which will relate to feet on this bottom right. So we really don't want anything higher, Marvin, than 120 in height, feet-wise. Generally, our parameter is going to be 90 for a slower club head speed, maybe 115 feet for a higher club head speed. That land angle is a little bit steep, maybe for our liking at 50, but we could still get away with it as long as it's not too much higher than that. So first swing, not a bad effort.
I'll see a couple more here.
Actually. So again, one of the things I like, the acoustics. I mean, this is the last version, and that's one of the things that TaylorMade has told us that they want to stay true to is look, feel, and sound. Right? So we'll see in the new model with the new speed foam if that sounds the same.
Yeah, because acoustics, I mean, especially on the drivers, has changed a bit over the years, but on the iron, this has remained pretty consistent. So, and good players tend to like that kind of muted sound where you kind of almost relates to the feeling you get when you hit the ball, where sometimes you don't feel the ball. So if we can put a sound to that feeling, it'd be kind of what you get here.
Absolutely. Three good swings, Marv. Ball speed's up. You know, shaft might be a little bit light for you.
A little bit light, yeah, it's spun a little bit too much.
Maybe a little bit of a draw for you, but a little spinny on that one. So again, we're talking about, this is just testing iron heads, but shafts will play a big role in your land angle and your spin rate as well.
Exactly. Interesting to see if that's going to launch any lower or higher, because I do launch it probably a little bit on the high side, and it goes a little bit too high for me. But
generally, you would say that's one of the parameters of your ball striking, as you do launch
it has been, yeah,
higher.
it has been. That's why I prefer a little bit of a smaller head, something that's not too forgiving, because when I grab something that's forgiving, it just shoots up.
Well, that's a good point. You know, you bring up a good point. So just talking about center of gravity, right? Moving mass back, one of the things that is new with this new product is when they put that 31 grams of tungsten a little bit more towards the heel, that center of gravity being a little bit further, deeper back, if you will, might help a majority of the average players out there. With
most people, they need to get it up in the air higher.
So Marvin, being a good player, has played professionally for many years, and he has quite a high club head speed, not as high as some of the guys that train in our facility, but still pretty high.
Gee,
so
thanks.
with that being said, maybe the low CG does launch it a little higher for you in particular, in a more of a muscle back or a cavity back per se, or a blade, true blade would help you not launch it quite as high.
I mean, looking at this golf club, again, 2021 version, the look of it a little bit sleeker, the color of it, but the top line, and I'm not sure, we'll have to kind of look up this, but the top line does look a little bit thinner than the previous model, but that might be just the look of it, that matte gray color that might kind of visually fool me to think that it's a little thinner. I'm not sure. But I do like the look of the head here. It does look slightly smaller.
Wow, good ball speeds there.
It's a little bit higher. Spin was low though, which is good.
Spin was low. Ball speed was up. Club head speeds remaining about the same. You know, just, you know, when we're looking at these type of shot shapes up here on this screen on the right, you can really see a pretty steep land angle there. Now we're, you know, upwards of 52 degrees land angle. That's probably
a little bit on the high side.
Might not be the right design for you personally with your club head speed, but you know, again, maybe this could be a blended set for you.
It could be. You could do so there's a longer irons,
770, maybe even mix that into the MB or the CB.
And a lot of players struggle with that. Even like a better player like myself, I always struggle getting the 4-iron, the 3-iron up in the air. So this might be a good option.
Absolutely, maybe
just sticking towards the longer side of my set.
That's a good point, because this set it does come 3-through pitch and a wedge. So, and they also have a UDI as well. So they have a new UDI iron, utility driving iron, which for those stronger players who want a little lower launching hybrid, that would be a great option. But again, maybe you could potentially play a 3 and a 4 iron in the 790 and maybe blend into 770 or some of the other models in the line.
Absolutely. I said a couple more. The feel of it actually feels very similar to last year's version, so the last model.
Is that really a thing, like mixing irons in the bag?
Absolutely. We can blend all sorts of different options here.
That's not like the old days. The old days it had to be pure, right? It was all the same.
Well, I mean, I don't think they had the maneuverability with the heads themselves back in the day. You know, you get different models now. I mean, old days, pretty much everybody was playing a blade, so you didn't really have the options of having lower center of gravities, different lofts. I mean, I've been playing golf for a long time. I grew up in a set of blades that were really thin and didn't have much, movement there. What is he smiling about? He's calling me old or something?
You said it.
Times have changed quite a
Well,
bit.
truth be told, I mean, a lot of good players, a lot of pros, they don't hit blades that much anymore. It's only like the top 10 in the world that are fans of the blade. A lot of guys play, smaller clubs. Like we see it in other companies now where these kind of heads, which are more forgiving, some of the companies are making a small version of this to appeal for the better golfer.
Right.
They don't jack the lofts off as much, so they're still pretty true to the lofts in terms of they're a little bit weaker.
Sure.
But they're still pretty forgiving because, I mean, why make it harder on yourself? Especially if the technology's out there, especially if you're trying to make money out there. So why hit a blade? Unless you can, and again, the level of golfer, if you can hit a blade, there's no better feeling.
Well, why would a player hit a blade over a perimeter weighted golf club? Maneuverability, right?
Exactly.
They want more shape.
Yeah.
Less perimeter weighting. Now again, TaylorMade has done it under the hood, if you will. So they put the perimeter weighting on the outside, especially losing all the gram weight in the speed foam and now the tungsten. They're moving that forgiveness to the exterior of the golf club, but it's just underneath the golf club, where in previous models you've seen it on the outside.
Yeah.
So that perimeter weighting, if you will help an off-center hit, a toe, or a heel strike fly straighter, which basically, let's face it, the majority of our clients are middle handicaps to low handicaps.
A couple of these actually, I know I'm hitting it further. I'm getting more ball speed out of it, which is interesting. I'm getting like 2 miles an hour more ball speed than the first gen. But a couple of these, and I can't really tell which one, but I haven't quite hit it perfectly. I've kind of missed it a little bit.
Okay, so that's a good thing, right? I
Yeah,
mean, tell
absolutely.
The people at home.
That was heavy. You can see my ball speed went down. But carry's sure pretty similar there.
I mean, if that's a miss for you and you only lost 3 miles an hour in ball speed and you're still at 185 carry,
Yeah.
and I think that's why we do this, right? I mean, it's the look, it's the feel. Obviously, we want to showcase a new product, but let's face it, golf is a game of misses. We say it all the time. So if we have a little bit more forgiveness in a new model versus the other, how the engineers on the inside at TaylorMade designed this club,
Exactly.
that's truly what we're looking for. So it's good to hear you say that it was a little bit of a toe hit and you still get decent results out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, any little improvement you can make on an already great golf club is going to be huge.
Yeah, well said.
And for TaylorMade, I mean, P790 has been, when it came out with it, that was groundbreaking.
It really
for
was.
the company. So excited to get the new version into hands of our customers for fittings. Again, a lot of people, they come in, they're like, oh, I want to try the most forgiving golf club you guys got. Well, this is going to be a contender, I'm
Absolutely.
pretty sure still.
And we could, like we said prior, you could play, a professional golfer could play this in the high side of their bag. And I personally have fit a 15 to 16 handicap in this in some cases just because they love the look and the feel. And it's a ball speed contest, guys. I mean,
Absolutely.
ball speeds are...
And you might be a good golfer, very low handicap, but you probably lost some speed in terms of club head speed. So that's where this comes in. A little bit more ball speed off the face can still help you retain some of that distance that you probably lost because of a little bit loss of club head speed. As you get older, we all kind of lose speed.
Again, I always like to say it's more like a player's distance iron, if you will,
Yep,
in that
absolutely.
category.
Yeah, so again, if you guys can kind of go online, book your fitting with us at clubcraft.com or email us at info@clubcraft.com or reach out to us on social media, whichever way you guys would prefer. But come try out the new P790 for 2021, and I'm sure it's probably going to help you guys out. Till next time, hit 'em well, guys.